The assembly will please come to order. The chief clerk will call the roll.
Assemblywoman Anderson. Assemblywoman Backus. Assemblywoman Bilbray Axelrod. Assemblywoman Brown May. Assemblyman Carter. Assemblywoman Cohen. Assemblywoman Considine. Assemblyman DeLong. Assemblywoman Dickman. Assemblyman De Silva. Assemblywoman Duran. Assemblywoman Gallant. Assemblywoman Gonzalez. Assemblywoman Gorlow. Assemblyman Gray. Assemblyman Gurr. Assemblyman Hafen. Assemblywoman Hanson. Assemblywoman Hardy. Assemblyman Hibbets. Assemblywoman Howdigi. Assemblywoman Kasama. Assemblyman Koenig. Assemblywoman LaRue Hatch. Assemblywoman Marzola. Assemblyman MacArthur. Assemblywoman Brittany Miller. Assemblyman C.H. Miller. Assemblywoman Monroe Moreno. Assemblywoman Mosca. Assemblywoman Newby. Assemblyman Wynn. Assemblyman O'Neill. Assemblyman Ortlicker. Assemblywoman Peters. Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong. Assemblywoman Taylor. Assemblywoman Thomas. Assemblywoman Torres. Assemblyman Watts. Assemblyman Urick. Speaker Yeager.
Here. Assemblywoman Howdigi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May the record reflect that all members are present.
The record shall so reflect. There are 42 present. There is a quorum. The assembly will please rise for the prayer by Pastor Ken Haskins, First Christian Church, Carson City.
Our Father in heaven, the wisdom of Solomon is encapsulated in the proverb, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not upon your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. O Lord, keep our priorities right and make our paths straight. I pray in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order of Business 2, reading and approval of the journal.
Carson City, Thursday, February 16, 2023.
Assemblywoman Howdigi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that we dispense with further reading of the journal and allow the Speaker and Chief Clerk to make necessary corrections and adjustments.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Order of Business 8, motions, resolutions, and notices.
Assembly Joint Resolution 2, introduced by Assemblyman DeLong et al., Senator Krasner, proposing to amend the Nevada Constitution to revise certain procedures relating to proposed amendments to the Nevada Constitution.
Assemblywoman Howdigi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Joint Resolution 2 be referred to your Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections.
Without objection, so referred.
Notice of exemption, February 16, 2023. The Fiscal Analysis Division, pursuant to Joint Standing Rule 14.6, has determined the exemption of Assembly Bill 166. Sarah Kaufman, Fiscal Analysis Division. Notice of exemption, February 16, 2023. The Fiscal Analysis Division, pursuant to Joint Standing Rule 14.6, has determined the eligibility for exemption of Assembly Bills 579, 10, 46, 71, 77, 85, 99, 109, 150, 158, and 178. Sarah Kaufman, Fiscal Analysis Division. Notice of exemption, February 16, 2023. The Fiscal Analysis Division, pursuant to Joint Standing Rule 14.6, has determined the eligibility for exemption of Senate Bills numbers 48, 118. Wayne Thorley, Fiscal Analysis Division.
Assemblywoman Howdigi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the persons as set forth on the Nevada Legislature's press accreditation list of February 20th, 2023 be accepted as accredited press representatives and that they be assigned space at the press table in the Assembly Chamber, that they be allowed the use of appropriate broadcasting facilities, and that the list be included in this day's journal.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. We'll go to Order of Business 9, introduction, first reading, and reference of bills.
Assembly Bill 185, introduced by Assemblywoman Wascott, an act relating to education requiring school districts, charter schools, and university schools for profoundly gifted pupils to take certain measures to accommodate a pupil who plans to transfer to a school district or school, or leave the school district or school because of the documented pending military transfer of a parent or guardian, and providing other measures for relating thereto. Assembly Bill 186, introduced by Assemblywoman Kasama, an act relating to food establishments, prohibiting a food establishment from providing drinking water unless requested by a customer, and providing other measures for relating thereto. Assembly Bill 187, introduced by Assemblyman Kasama et al., an act relating to education, prohibiting a program of instruction using the 3 queuing system model of reading for certain public school and charter school pupils, and providing other measures for relating thereto. Assembly Bill 188, introduced by Assemblyman Kasama et al., Senators Orenshaw and Dondero Loop, an act relating to health care, revising the circumstances under which a physician is authorized to prescribe or recommend, and a manufacturer is authorized to provide or make available an investigational drug, biological product, or device, authorizing a manufacturer to provide or make available an individualized investigational treatment to a patient under certain circumstances, prohibiting an officer, employee, or agent of this state from preventing or attempting to prevent a patient from accessing such an individualized investigational treatment, authorizing a physician to prescribe or recommend an individualized investigational treatment under certain circumstances, providing penalty, and providing other measures for relating thereto. Assembly Bill 189, introduced by Assemblywoman Howdeggy, an act relating to construction, setting forth certain limitations on the Board of County Commissioners or the governing body of a city and certain counties, and adopting an ordinance restricting the hours in which construction work may begin during certain times of the year in a common interest community, prohibiting under certain circumstances a common interest community from restricting the hours that construction work may begin in certain counties or cities during certain times of the year, and providing other measures properly relating thereto. Assembly Bill 190, introduced by Assemblywoman Kasama, an act relating to elections, requiring the Secretary of State to prescribe by regulation a voter registration form that must be distributed by a title company and certain department associations and property management companies under certain circumstances, and providing other measures properly relating thereto. Assembly Bill 191, introduced by Assemblyman DeLong et al., an act relating to water, revising provisions relating to a plan of water conservation and plan for incentives relating to water conservation, and providing other measures properly relating thereto. Assembly Bill 192, introduced by Assemblywoman Gonzalez, an act relating to elections, revising requirements for the form of all envelopes and return envelopes for mail ballots, revising certain requirements relating to electioneering, and providing other measures properly relating thereto. Assembly Bill 193, introduced by Assemblyman Gonzalez et al., Senators Orenshaw and Wynn, an act relating to criminal procedure, prohibiting a peace officer or other person authorized to conduct a custodial interrogation of a child from making certain statements during a custodial interrogation of a child, and providing other measures properly relating thereto. Assembly Bill 194, introduced by Assemblyman Hanson et al., Senator Hanson, an act relating to education, revising provisions governing the suspension, expulsion, or permanent expulsion of a pupil from a public school in certain circumstances, and providing other measures properly relating thereto. Assembly Bill 195, introduced by Assemblywoman Hardy, an act relating to motor vehicles, requiring the Department of Motor Vehicles to waive the fee for the administration of the examination required for the issuance of a non-commercial driver's license for certain persons released from prison, requiring the department to waive any fee that would otherwise be imposed against a person for the late renewal of a driver's license if the late renewal resulted from the person being incarcerated, requiring the department to reinstate free of charge a driver's license or to provide an original or renewal driver's license to certain persons released from prison in certain circumstances, and providing other measures properly in there too. Assembly Bill 196, introduced by Assemblyman Hardy and Hafen, an act relating to healthcare, authorizing the use of 1 vial of certain neuromodulators for multiple injections and for multiple patients, and providing other measures properly in there too. Assembly Bill 197, introduced by Assemblyman Orentlicker, an act relating to healthcare, authorizing the Division of Healthcare Financing and Policy of the Department of Health and Human Services to impose an assessment on certain healthcare providers, creating the account to improve healthcare quality and access for patients of certain providers, prescribing the authorized uses of the revenue generated by the assessment, and requiring the division to adopt regulations establishing administrative penalties against a healthcare provider who does not pay an assessment in a timely manner, authorizing the division to take certain measures to collect an unpaid assessment or administrative penalty, and providing other measures properly in there too. Assembly Bill 198, introduced by Assemblyman Orentlicker, an act relating to healthcare, providing for the registration of providers of healthcare who are not licensed in the state to provide services through telehealth to patients located in the state, and for the regulation of such providers, establishing proper venue for a civil action arising out of the provision of a service through telehealth, revising the circumstances under which a provider of healthcare is authorized to provide services through telehealth to a patient located in the state, abolishing certain licensure to practice medicine providing for the licensure of certified registered nurse and anesthetist as advanced practice registered nurses, authorizing such an advanced practice registered nurse to order and select certain controlled substances, poisons, and dangerous drugs under certain circumstances and providing other matters properly thereto. Assembly Bill 199, introduced by Assemblyman Duran et al., and act relating to chiropractic, authorizing a chiropractic physician to evaluate and treat a person who has sustained an injury to the head, authorizing a chiropractic physician to clear a pupil or youth for participation in certain activities after the pupil or youth has sustained an injury to the head and providing other matters properly thereto. Assembly Bill 200, introduced by Assemblyman McCarthy, and act relating to the legislature, reducing the number of legislative measures that may be requested for a regular legislative session, codifying into statute certain provisions of the joint standing rules of the Senate and Assembly that authorize requests for legislative measures, and providing other matters properly thereto. Assembly Bill 201, introduced by the Committee on Health and Human Services, and act relating to behavioral health, requiring the Commission on Behavioral Health to provide certain oversight and make certain recommendations concerning the child's behavioral health system of care, requiring the formulation and operation of comprehensive state plans to provide behavioral health services for adults and children, requiring the certification of persons and entities who receive federal and state funding to provide such services, requiring the adoption of clinical standards of care for the provision of such services, revising certain duties of the Commission, regional behavioral health policy boards, and mental health consortiums in the state, and providing other matters properly thereto. Assembly Bill 202, introduced by Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong, and act relating to medical facilities, authorizing a patient in a facility for skilled nursing or his or her representative to request the installation and use of an electronic communication device in the living quarters of the patient, prescribing requirements for the selection and operation of such a device, prohibiting a person from taking certain actions concerning such a device or the images and sounds broadcast by such a device, prohibiting a facility for skilled nursing or an employee of such a facility from taking certain additional actions, providing penalties, and providing other matters properly thereto. Assembly Bill 203, introduced by Assemblyman Hayfun et al., Senator Wynn, and act relating to motor vehicles, authorizing the combination of personalized prestige license plates and certain special license plates, exempting from the payment of certain parking fees vehicles with certain specially designed license plates for family members of persons killed in the line of duty or who died of injury sustained while on active duty in the armed forces of the United States, providing a penalty for persons who make certain false statements or submit false, fraudulent, or misleading evidence in connection with an application for certain specially designed license plates, and providing other matters properly thereto. Assembly Bill 204, introduced by Assemblywoman Hanson, and act relating to mining, revising provisions relating to the location of a mill site, and providing other matters properly thereto. Assembly Bill 205, introduced by Assemblyman Gray et al., and act relating to adoption, establishing the Nevada Child Adoption Grant Program to award grants to assist certain prospective adoptive parents with certain costs of adoption, establishing a credit against the modified business tax for taxpayers who donate money to the Nevada Child Adoption Grant Program, and providing other matters properly thereto.
Assemblywoman Howdiggy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bills 185 through 205 be referred to the committees as shown on the Assembly Bills Introductions list dated February 20th, 2023, which every member has a copy of on their desk.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. We will go next to Order Business 15, remarks from the floor. And reminder members, if you'd like to speak, please indicate using your new digital pad next to your desk. We will start with Assemblywoman Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, we are proud to host several members of the Associated Students of the University of Nevada, of their governing body, student government. So I'm going to ask all those members who are here, if you would please stand, all those ASUN representatives. We have some here in the house. All right. We also have a proclamation. We have some in the gallery, a lot in the gallery. All right. We have a proclamation. I'm just going to read a couple of points on the proclamation. Whereas over 14,000 undergraduate students at the University of Nevada, Reno, UNR, benefit from their collective power to express their needs through their student government, the Associated Students of the University of Nevada, ASUN, and the core of this organization is the pursuit of a better future for Nevadans all across the state. And whereas the ASUN stands as one of the largest employers of students on campus, where their employers provide assistance to students needing campus transportation through pack rides, club equipment rentals, informational legal services, pack provisions, food pantry, and student-centered advocacy within the Nevada system of higher education, all funded by the student body itself. And I'll read one more whereas. Throughout the UNR community, ASUN promotes civic engagement, and in 2020, 71.2% of UNR's voting eligible population cast their vote, which is 5.2% higher than the voting rate at other academic institutions. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the residents of Nevada are heartily encouraged to congratulate the success of the Associated Students of the University of Nevada for its dedication to educational excellence and for its work to ensure improved opportunities for career and professional growth of the student body as its members prepare to become the next generation of leaders of our country and of our state. Please help me make them feel welcome and thank them for spending their day with us on today. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Assemblywoman Torres.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's always excited to be joined by so many amazing students from the University of Nevada, Reno. But today I'm actually particularly excited because I get to introduce my legislative intern for this session. So Olivia, if you would please stand. Olivia No is a third-year student who's double majoring in both political science and musical theater. She also has the pleasure of working with ASUN, but with me, she's working as an intern for our office. As a senator, she has written legislation regarding inclusivity for marginalized communities, diversifying academia, housing equity, student representation on the Board of Regents, and protections for sexual assault survivors. So if we could all give a warm welcome to Olivia now.
Assemblywoman Mosca.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm excited to introduce my guests here today. Y'all can stand. First, I have Adriana Hernandez, who is currently a first-generation college student who will graduate from business, focusing on human resource management from UNLV. She's a proud Core 2 member of the nonprofit I started, Leaders in Training. I've known her since she was in 9th grade, and we're really proud of her because less than 2% of teen moms ever graduate from college, and her 5-year-old son, Anthony, will watch her cross the stage with her supporting parents this coming May. Kevin Osorio Hernandez is here from Nevada State College. He's a first-generation college student who is also a Nevada State College senator. I met him on the campaign trail. He lives in my district, and he is also my surrogate for events down south. And finally, Gilda Espinoza is a young woman who goes to both CSN and Nevada State College, who is what we all want here, wants to be a teacher. She is participating in Grow Your Own programs at Nevada State College and CSN and has ran a tutoring program at Futura Academy, as well as been a facilitator at the Latino Youth Leadership Conference. Please make them feel welcome, and I thank also my colleagues in Assembly District 12 and 28 who are also hosting some of our students today.
Assemblywoman Peters.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today is Canada Day, and for those of you who don't know, my mother was Canadian until I was about 12 years old, and I grew up with 2 Canadian grandparents. So I'm grateful today to be able to introduce 2 representatives from Canada. Today we have Zabe Sheikh, who began his mandate as Consul General of Canada in Los Angeles in December of 2018. He is the Government of Canada's senior representative in Southern California, Arizona, and Nevada. He comes to the posting after an extensive career in the media and entertainment industries, which we are familiar with in Nevada, having worked as an actor and producer in theater, film, and television. From 2014 until his appointment in 2018, Mr. Sheikh was the Film Commissioner and Director of Entertainment Industries for the City of Toronto. Also, as with us is Erwin Widmer Bobek, okay, Consul for Diplomacy, Culture, and Communications. Erwin is a career diplomat with 23 years of experience in the federal government of Canada. In addition to the normal day-to-day diplomacy, Erwin has focused considerable energy on growing the relations between Canada and the Southwest U.S., as in the areas of equity and inclusion in the cultural industries. I have a proclamation for them today that expresses several factoids about our relationship between Nevada and Canada, and I would like to just share one, that Canada is both the second largest export destination for Nevada, with bilateral trade totaling over $2 billion, and the largest employer of foreign direct investor in Nevada, providing jobs for over 12,500 Nevadans. I would like to thank these folks for joining us today on the floor. Please make them feel welcome.
Assemblyman Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As a third-generation Las Vegan and East Sider, I want to say that it's my great pleasure to introduce and honor to introduce Emeritus Cespedes and Alex Peralta. Emer is a proud first-generation college student who's a poli-sci student at UNLV and also a proud East Sider. He's started his own nonprofit to advocate for youth on issues they care about. Alex Peralta is also a UNLV student studying English. He's also a proud East Sider, which means a lot from our communities in Las Vegas. His goal is to either be a screenwriter, journalism, or PR. And I just want to say that my esteemed colleague from Assembly District 14 has done so much in the East Side to help foster and support young men and women that you're getting to introduce to you right now. And I'm so honored to be in the district from next to her. Thank you, and please make Emer and Alex welcome.
Assemblyman De Silva.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I, too, have the pleasure of introducing two young, dynamic leaders here in our state. First, we have Katia Reed, who is currently a senior at UNLV majoring in graphic design. She's a proud first-generation college student, Cohort 4 Leaders in Training member, and actively involved in our community, whether it was interning for the RTC or to Live Nation as well. She's building and using her skills to give back to our community. Katia does all graphics for the AD 14 Youth Committee and is ready and available to help any of you with graphic support if you need it. Next, we also have Jesse Cruz, who's from CSN. Jesse is a proud first-generation college student at CSN, majoring in political science and a Cohort 6 member of Leaders in Training. He is a former Nevada youth legislator, was a Progressive Turnout Project Fellow this past election cycle, and has advocated for bills and campaigns at both the federal and state level. He is the second oldest of 4 boys and proudly lives in North Las Vegas. And I, too, want to convey similar sentiments as my colleague from Assembly District 14 conveyed towards our colleague from Assembly District 12 to 14. I'm sorry, I got to get these right. I'm still a freshman trying to get these districts right. And all the admirable work our colleague from Assembly District 14 has done in raising these young leaders who are going to go on to be leaders not only in Nevada but in America. Thank you, and let's make them feel welcome. Thank you.
Assemblyman Hibbets.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On President's Day, we celebrate the birthday of our nation's first president, George Washington, and we honor the presidents who succeeded him. Those leaders who defended our nation and our Constitution through the best of times and through the worst of times. George Washington lives in our nation's memory as the man, military leader, statesman, and founding father whose accomplishments are many. He led the Continental Army during the Revolutionary War, won our independence from the British, presided over the drafting of the U.S. Constitution, and served as the first president of the United States. George Washington was born on February 22nd, 1732. Abraham Lincoln, whose portrait sits above our chamber, and who was president when Nevada became a state, was born on February 12th, 1809. Abraham Lincoln led our nation through the deadliest war the United States ever fought, with a death toll of 620,000, roughly 200,000 more dead than in World War II. This war led to Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation and changed the course of our nation's history forever. For his accomplishments, we celebrate Lincoln as if he were a member of the founder's generation. These are two great presidents, but we ought to remember all of them and learn from their lives and deeds. Our nation's leaders have led us through depressions, recessions, wars, as well as times of prosperity and peace. Today, let us honor our nation's past leaders. Let us remember their accomplishments, and let us model our own public service after their integrity, their honor, and their sacrifice. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Assemblyman Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I'd like to introduce a very special guest and actually my best friend, Dr. Rob Vliegler, probably well, not probably, he is the smartest doctor I know, and he is just one heck of a guy, and please welcome him today. Thank you.
Anybody else for Order Business 15? Assemblywoman Howdigi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Some announcements for the floor. Tomorrow is mining day at the Nevada Legislature, so please visit room 3100 from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. to learn a little bit about their history, their culture, and their economy, and then visit them at a reception at Great Basin Brewery from 5 to 7. We will also have Roseman University here doing health screening, so please feel free to stop by for free blood pressure testing, glucose screening, and some more done by students from Roseman. And seeing no other business, Mr. Speaker, I move that we stand adjourned until Tuesday, February 21st at the hour of 11:30 a.m.
Assemblywoman Howdigi has moved that the Assembly stand adjourned until Tuesday, February 21st, 2023 at the hour of 11:30 a.m. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned.